Well, hello. It is Friday night, February 17th. We went past Valentine's Day. We're actually past the 50% mark of this month. And we are now live while I'm playing with my shirt. That's because I didn't button the ends here. So I'm doing it now. Well, welcome. It's Friday night. It is time for us to get together. I'm so glad we had this time together just to share a laugh or sing a song. But that's kind of like the ending for Carol Burnett. I'm so glad we had this time. All right, so let us say hello to everybody. Let me do the I love you to everybody and see if I can finish fiddling with my cuffs here. So the thing is with the cuffs, since I'm doing it, might as well show you, okay? Normally a person will do the cuffs like that, and that's normal. I like to turn them inside out like you were wearing cufflinks, but I don't have cufflinks. I'm using the back end of the button. So I would take this, I would roll it over once, I would make it actually be proper, and then I bring it around and button it together. So the hard part is you only get to use one hand because your other hand, the other hand is busy getting buttoned up. So enough dumb stuff. So there was not much that happened this week in terms of new cameras and stuff like that, but last week it was like a overflow, like a Thanksgiving overflow. So that's what was going on there. And I did bring in the Stream Deck, which is from the kitchen. And I set it up here. I just don't know how to take it back and forth between the two computers. So I have the E10, and then I have the E10 Black, which we have here. All right. And then I have the rotating cameras, which I cannot use, and I'll explain why in a second. So we'll go back over here. I've got a little bench stool, so I can put this right here next to me. I should also bring this. So hi everybody, what have you been doing? Thank you. I actually, believe it or not, I got a couple of more they weren't donations, they were Amazon gift cards. And I desperately need those. Oh, I'm on the wrong camera. That one. All right, so this is the R6. So this one is the one that belongs to Peter. That would be me. So this is the Randy cam. Speaking of Randy, you guys need to keep him in your prayers. He got a call and had to fly to Arizona. His mother had a stroke, and they had to take her to the emergency room. I don't know the information, so I can't update you, but we all love Randy, right? So those of you guys that do the prayer thing, now's the time to add Randy to your prayer list. Deal? Okay. And keep me on your prayer list too. Okay, I got the button. So I will stop fidgeting with my cuffs, which I'm sure is getting some people aggravated. So now with my handy dandy button, I can use the R6 and I can push the buttons, and you would never even really know that I'm pushing the buttons. So I got this shirt out. I haven't worn it in years because it was always way too tight, even though it's a large. And I ironed it, I washed it, and then I ironed it. So I'm looking good tonight. I'm looking good. So what's going on in your life? I do want to hear about you. I want to hear what you got to say and all that kind of good stuff. So let's see. The other camera that I've got here is this guy, which is, my hair is popping up. This is the R6, that guy. This is the R6 Mark II. So I'm not sure, Mark, if you're watching, no, not my brother Mark. Well, he's kind of like a brother. Sagers, Mark Sager. He's got a channel. He's a carpet cleaner. I got him into this camera right here, and he bought the R6, but not the Mark II. He bought the R6 Mark I. I told him send it back and get the R6 Mark II. He says, no, it's set up. You know, there's a thing that once you set your camera up, okay, you don't like to reset up cameras. And then you've got people like me that actually, where we basically get a new camera in here every other week. So it's kind of like we're used to setting it up. So today, I have to give huge credit to Osvaldo. He's my friend, like a brother. He helps me whenever I need help, and I help him whenever he needs help. I got quite a few of those kind of guys. You guys are terrific, you know that? Anyway, we spent 2 days, and he created LUTs. You know what a LUT is? It's short for lookup table. But basically, that doesn't tell you anything, right? So you actually have not a real good understanding on what a LUT is, all right? So, you know, where you get a camera, you could set the color profile to be standard, neutral, or natural, or faithful, or vivid. Those are profiles. They're built into the camera. So what if you want to build your own from scratch, okay? So the camera has a place in it, both of these, actually all of these cameras, called log, L-O-G. So what the log does, I'll show you. It takes the picture and it squeezes it crazy, a real crazy squeeze. So after you squeeze it, well, what do you mean by squeeze it? Am I sucking in my, no. It squeezes the highs and the lows. So it takes the lows and brings them unnaturally up. Then it takes the highs and brings them unnaturally down. And you go, well, what is that about, Peter? Well, then you are basically going to expand it and you're going to color grade it almost, but not quite, like a RAW file, all right? So a RAW file is actually too big. You would need a hard drive that big, okay? Let's get, all right? That's how much data a RAW file would take, because every picture that you're shooting in movies would be a RAW file, all right? So they mimicked that. They made an imitation RAW file, a knockoff for those of you guys that are into shopping, okay? So this is what it looks like before I add a LUT. I'm turning the LUT off. So the camera shoots it like this. And those of you that just said, that's dang ugly, well, you're right, it is ugly. But it took all the highs and really squished them down. Didn't throw them away, but it squished them down. Then it took all the lows, didn't throw them away, but brought it abnormally up. All right, so now you add what's called, so how do you explode this? How do you bring this back to normal? Okay, you create something called a LUT. And you've got people out there selling LUTs. This is the, you know, the Scotty's LUT set. Or this is Lewis's LUT set. Or PeterGregg's LUT set. So I've got a few LUTs. Now, when I turn the LUT on, it's going to uncompress the highs and the lows. It's going to add a certain amount of sharpening, and it's going to color it. So you get to work like I like my skin to be clear and vibrant, okay? Now, I could take and add saturation if I wanted, just right here in Ecamm. I've got sliders. So I could take the saturation, watch, I'm gonna make it so it's warmer. So I just brought the saturation up on this one. Now I'll bring it back down real quick. Now this is all on top of the LUT, okay? So what's happening here is I'm mimicking the quality of a RAW file, but I get to control everything. For most of you guys, you don't need that. And you go like, well, I don't want to make things more complicated. I agree, okay? Why should you make things more complicated? But for some people like me, there is something that I might want, where am I? Over here. I might want to look at that the camera is not handling properly. So if I go back to the R6, See the blue LEDs back up here? Okay. Well, those blue LEDs, Canon makes them purple. All right. I don't like that. It's not only on this camera does it too. Okay. The 90D and the 80D that I had in here, that I owned, they did it also. So the Canon just got this thing where blues, see the blues here? If you light it properly, like I'm lit up properly here, okay? If you light it properly, then the blues really become blue like they should be. And that's the right way to do it. My shirt's creeping up. Got to pull it down. Pull that thing down. Okay? So, but the blues that are in the background, like those are blue LEDs. Okay? But they keep coming up purple. Scotty will attest to that. Scotty actually is the one that brought it out when we first got the Canons in here. It's like, why is there things in the background that are purple? When I know they're not, because he knows the Christmas room. Most of you guys know the Christmas room. So what you got to do is you got to go in there and color it yourself. And then you fix it up just nice, kind of like you're cooking a dish. You're making a steak, or you're making lemon pepper potatoes, or you're doing something, okay? And you want to lock it in. Well, you create the look that you want, and you export it as an LUT, and they call that LUT, okay? So the LUT assigns the same colors over and over and over, as long as you don't change the LUT. It's like it's changing the standard or the vivid or something like that. So Osvaldo and I have spent a few days and we have created our own couple of different LUTs. So now this brings my skin color to where I'm happy with the skin color. Doesn't give me old man skin. I don't know how else to say that, okay? Like the Sony doesn't give me old man skin. Nikon doesn't. But Canon can, all right? And then if you try to go, oh, well, I know how to solve that, Peter. I'll apply a LUT. Just go to C-Log 3 or C-Log 1 and apply a LUT. Well, I do. But that stuff comes in purple, okay? So now this bubble lamp right here, now it just switched to blue. See how pretty that blue is? And it's way back there. Well, if I let the camera do its thing, guess what? The blue back there would be purple. And it annoys some people, and I'm one of the people that it annoys, okay? So let's make sure I have the LUT turned back on, and yes, I do. All right, so let's get rid of this. And let's get into the comments. Who's here with me? Scotty is here with me, and Scotty has, how did he know my sweet tooth, right back here, is activated tonight? So my sweet tooth is going like, I want some desserts. So Scotty is brought us for tonight, for us to munch on. You know the boys, when we get together and play poker, we actually have chips and a dip. An easy way to make dip is to get one of those containers of sour cream. I like the Daisy sour cream. And don't be getting the fat-free crap. Get the full fat. If you're going to eat it, eat it. Otherwise, don't bother, okay? You're just poisoning yourself. So I forgot what Scotty brought. He's got me, and I didn't eat. So when I finish here, I'm going to go get me something to eat. Homemade milk chocolate brownies. Good for you, Scotty. Some vanilla ice cream for dessert. Don't push and shove. There's plenty for... I'm going to put the darn ice cream on my brownie. Wait, I'm going to take the brownie. I'm going to put it in the microwave to warm it up. Then I'm going to take some of the vanilla ice cream and put... I know how to eat. Hello? I don't have different size shirts because I'm a skinny mini. I'm getting there. I'm still holding at 153. Okay. So, here's Randy. I was just talking about your mom. Did you fly out to your mom or did you fly back home? I told everybody to be praying for your mom. I've been praying for your mom since you told me the other day that you had to go because you had to take her to the ER. So, we are praying for your mother. So we don't know her first name, but I think God does. It's Randy's mother. And we want her to be at peace and to be healthy. Okay. Jim says, I'm here. Hi, Jim Mundy. Love you, buddy. I love all of you guys, actually. Scott, love you. Randy, love you. Jim, love you. Sly is next on the queue. Love you too. So he says, I'm just in from the road and I'm craving a chili dog. Ooh, with cheese. I like the Tillamook. Tillamook is a brand. I like the Tillamook cheese. So without you guys even knowing, I could just change the view. So I did lose the rotating cameras, and the reason that I lost them is because I added this guy. So to add the R6 Mark II, I had to disconnect one camera or put it on the ATM. But I'm a 4K kind of guy, and the ATM is 1080. No offense to 1080. I mean, when you look at Sly Reader's video live streams, which she should be on tonight, unless she comes in and says no, that she's not. She'll be on at midnight, my time. So that's East Coast time. So you translate that to your time zone, okay? So here is Sly, and she's going to come up, I promise, if I can hit the button. Hi, everybody. Chili dogs sound amazing. Thanks, Scott. I know what I'll be having for lunch tomorrow. Which guy am I on? Okay. I need to label this because I got the labels on this one. I own this one. So the other one's going back on Monday. So I'm not going to go put a label in there. And I'm hoping to get the Panasonic S5 Mark II to use that one for a few weeks. So Sly is saying the chili dogs sound good. It sounds mighty good. And thanks, Scott. I know what I'll be having for lunch. Scott brought some food to go with it. Chili dogs, battered onion rings. Oh, I love that. Coleslaw. I can eat coleslaw. Coke's on the counter in Peter's kitchen. Bon appetit. Mwah, bon appetit. Enjoy. And Scotty is giving the position of honor to Jim. So you get to go on the line first, Jim. So here is Craig. Craig, you changed your avatar. I think you combed your hair a little bit strong. I'm not sure. Good evening, Peter. I hope you had a good week. Yes, I did. I'm still playing with it. It's just between me and Craig. And don't go dirty, okay? Don't go dirty-minded on me, all right? But he showed me how to play with it. And I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say what it is, but it is really cool. It's a computer software. And I just find it incredibly intriguing. So the negative stuff is starting to surface, Craig. It's going to be mind control, brainwashing. They're going to make you learn what they want you to learn. So I'm starting to read that as it's starting to make its debut. Okay, so it's not private, so I guess I could tell you. It's AI software, and it works out of this world. It's just crazy, but you do get the feedback that they give you. There's just no way around it. So Scotty is laughing at Sly. Woody's in here. Hi, Woody. How you doing? Let me make sure you could see me good, Woody. So I'll bring myself up close. There we go. You know what? I don't think I have an up close one for the R6 Mark II. So I started to say, Mark Sager, if you happen to be watching, which I don't think he is, I think, what time is it? Well, he's in the same time zone as me. So I think he goes to bed early because he does the carpet cleaning, gets up and goes out. Probably one of the top most successful carpet cleaning companies in the country. Definitely one of the best in terms of what their quality is. I mean, you can get like, what's that, Stanley Steamer? Okay, and that's like the McDonald's. So if you like McDonald's food, you'll like Stanley Steamer, you know? So there's a nickname. They spit at your carpet and leave, okay? Then you've got the carpet cleaners that actually are very good. So why carpet cleaning. Have you cleaned your carpets? All right. So the carpet, believe it or not, in your house is the biggest filter you have. You know those filters you buy and you turn them on and they run the air? Well, the carpet 24/7 absorbs the odors, it absorbs the dirt, and it gets into the fibers. So imagine this, the fibers, okay? So you have to get the dirt out of the fibers, kind of like the shirt. I don't think I would wear this shirt for a year and not wash it. Well, maybe I would. No, I wouldn't. I'm teasing. I'm just teasing. Don't get all over my case. So does this camera have a close-up? Yeah, I do. I just have not assigned it. I have not assigned it. So this is the close-up on the R6 Mark II. So this is the Mach 2. For you Boston people, this is the Mach 2. Okay. So the carpet is the biggest filter. It's constantly absorbing the dirt that falls, and you could vacuum it, but the vacuum doesn't dislodge the dirt that attaches to the fibers. So you get carpet cleaning. So now he's got what I call a dream team. He's got a guy over there named Aaron. That boy is a man. He's in between 30 and 40. We call him a boy. He's just a sweet kid. How do these guys grow up to be so nice, kind? Okay, I mean, they're all boy. Don't get me wrong. All right. He's got his own kids. I think he's got 3. So he's very busy at night, let me tell you. He's got 3 kids. But that guy is like an under-the-radar guy. He knows how to make the equipment that he's using work above its pay grade. If the carpet cleaning equipment can give you that much, Aaron can squeeze that much. And now they've got another new guy named Brady. And Brady actually is being taught by Aaron. And Mark is the owner of the company. He's my age. So he's kind of like retired, but doesn't know how to retire. So he's up in the cold weather. I think it's Michigan, okay? So he bought himself a summer house in Florida on the West Coast, where I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Miami. He's in the Tampa area, but a little higher. So he drives down here so he can have his truck, and he cleans carpets while he's on vacation. And he hooks up with other carpet cleaners, and he teaches them. All right, long story short, too late. It's already a long story. So I got him to purchase this camera because he called me, and we're friends, okay? And he said, Peter, what camera do I buy? I said, you want to listen to me? Buy the Canon R6, all right? So, you know, the carpet cleaning machinery is kind of like different versions of a vacuum cleaner. You go forward and back and forward and back, okay? Or it's the steaming part with the suction that pushes the hot steaming water that's a high temperature, and it sucks it out. So it's basically rinsing your carpet. And Mark Sager actually created his own chemical products that go on it. And yes, I tried a lot of different ones before I actually met Mark. So I have a shelf full of the carpet cleaning chemicals. So Mark and I became friends, and he says, oh, let me send you a couple of sample bottles. So I still got them because I don't do carpet cleaning. I clean my own carpets. And that stuff just beats the crap out of all the other stuff where we'll give you samples, we'll give you samples. So it's the best stuff going. So now, he has the same problem I have with the autofocus, okay? So let's go, I'm looking at the wrong camera, all right? So I get a lot of distortions of the focus on here. It sees the blinking lights, and it'll go to the background and come back up. Canon's not the only one that does that, okay? The Sony will do that also. So if I actually decide I'm going to stand up and I switch over to the Sony, now I haven't made those adjustments on the Sony. So it might blink in terms of breathe for the autofocus, and it might not, okay? That's up to the camera and what it's looking. So with the lights on and the bubble lamp, there's a twinkling, and that is actually attracted by the focus systems. So this is also, where are you? Over there, okay? So this is also a Sony E10, all right? So Now back over to this guy. This one is more sensitive, so it actually will focus on things I don't want it to focus on. But I can restrict it. They give you 3 different boxes, a square box, and you select that on the Canon R6 and the Canon R6 Mark II, and you get a square box. And then it'll only look to focus inside of that square box. So it eliminates the stuff on the side and on the top and the bottom, okay? So it gives you 3 different shapes, and one of them is square, one of them is rectangular, but you get 2 versions of the rectangles. You get an up and down rectangle, which is what I have it set to. So I wanted to ignore this tree that's going round and round, because it seems to want to catch on that little tree. You see how it's going round and round? And then I've got the green ball on the floor. Anything that this camera might see in terms of something that looks like an eye, because remember I got eye detection on, all right? It starts to give you a little pulse, and then somebody says something to the effect of like, why is it doing that, all right? So I actually have the up and down rectangle. So it's basically only focusing right here, all the way from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen, okay? So, and you can move that rectangle around. And then it gives you another kind of a rectangle, but it's this way. And then you can move that up and down. So can anybody tell me why you would use the rectangle that goes like this and why you would want to move it up and down? Well, let's say you wanted to drive in your car, if you're in Boston. You want to drive your car, okay? Well, my Lincoln has a little Lincoln emblem on the front, it's a 1997, it's old, okay? It's a 1997, and it's got that little emblem up front. Well, you know what? I took the R6 out. I actually took the Sony out. I took the Sony A7C. I took the R7, and it keeps focusing on the emblem. And when you're driving, you want to see the frickin' road. So that is when you would turn on that rectangle that goes left to right, and you move it up, kind of like that. So the windshield wiper is sitting here, it's black, okay? And the emblem is sitting out there on the hood, but I told the camera, ignore that. So if you've got an R5, if you've got an R6, if you've got an R6 Mark II, I bet you dollar to donuts just the regular R has that also. The R8 that's coming out, all have these choices where you can pick the area where you want your autofocus to work. So I brought this up because I couldn't figure out how to make it stop focusing here. So if I went like this, or if I went like that, okay, so now this hand is not in the picture. You notice it's not focusing in there, but if I bring it to the center, oh my God, what happened? And if I bring it out, when it's out here, it's ignoring. So it's ignoring the stuff on the side, okay? So that's what I have this camera doing, and that's what I have, not that one, that's what I have this camera doing. So this way, its only focus is restricted, still doing the eye focus, the closest eye, okay? So I could go like this, and it'll focus on me, all right? And that's because I have restricted the focus. So Sly, don't do it now. Don't go making any kind of changes, okay, before you go live. So it goes for all of you guys. Before you're ready to go for a big job, whether it's going live, shooting a wedding, shooting a birthday party, that is not when you start fidgeting with your camera. After the party, after your show, then you can fidget. Because if you screw it up, all of a sudden, you're going to get uptight. All right, so let's get back to the pipples that are here. Let me start putting stars so I know where I left off. I said hi to Gregg, to Scott, to Woody. Woody, did I say hi to you, big guy? Hi, Woody. How you doing? Love you, buddy. And yes, I do watch your pictures and stuff. So where am I? I'm on the R6 Mark II. Sammy is here. Great looking hair. Thank you. I just got out of the shower. I blow dry my hair, and then I have to try to get it to stay put, which can be difficult for me. My hair is thinning out, but don't tell anybody. But it happens with age, okay? And that's why you get people that have less and less hair until they wind up being bald, okay? So Jim is saying, I learned something about how to fix my cuffs. It looks a little fancier to me. My dad was a more, formal guy, and he had things that people don't use today, or most people, called cufflinks. So with a cufflink, you don't have a button here. You line up the holes, you push the cufflink through, and then they got a little thing and you twist them. All right, so I'm mimicking that with the butter, with the button. All right, so I have that, and I have this, and it looks a little dressier to me. Now, you could feel free to disagree, but that's how I learned to do that. Somebody, obviously, that's why you younger guys, you need older guys, because they'll teach you stuff like this, all right, and how to tie a tie, and all kinds of stuff like that. So, where did I leave off? And so Jim learned something. Let me give Jim a star. Jim, you got a star. There you go. Scotty says, camera tech overload last week. Any news on the arrival of the Lumix? Well, I said it already, but I'll repeat. When this big boy, the one I'm looking at right now, when this big boy gets packed up and goes back, and I've got the Rode mics, I've got the Saramonic mics, probably going to go back in the mail on Monday. Then I got to give it 2 days, and then I'm going to pull in the Lumix S52. And I'm very, very excited about that. Very, very excited. Okay, so let's turn on the rotating cameras, but they are only for the R6 Mark I. So Charles is saying hello to all. It's presidential weekend with chili dogs. They go together, right? So we have President's Day coming up. I don't know, do we have a day off from the post office, Randy, where we're not going to get mail for, I think it's Washington's birthday, and it's President's Day, and I think they picked one, probably President's Day, because it goes for all of them. But we won't have mail or banks on that day. And I don't know when it is, but Randy might know, because he's a post office expert, super expert. So Charles is saying hi. Yep, we got President's Day coming up. And Sammy says the R6 looks good. You know, Sammy, there's a little bit of pride there, and I got to be careful because I don't want to get all prideful. But I think it looks really good. I think Osvaldo did a great job on the LUT. It's a custom LUT. I helped tune it in a little bit, so I got my fingers in there too. And that is all looking good. So the 85 millimeter looks amazing. Now, how does Sammy know it's an 85 millimeter? You guys have been around long enough to know. I put a little label up there, okay? And I not only tell you the name of the camera that I'm using, I tell you the name of the lens, and I'm telling you what the lens setting is. So this is the 85 millimeter, the Canon 85 millimeter USM lens. It's an older lens, not an R lens, so I actually have to have the adapter, Canon's $100 adapter, to have that lens working. But it does, it's like, it wants to be an L lens. An L lens is Canon's top of the line lenses. So that's how good it is. It's like one of those lenses that just fly under the radar. And I just love it. I think it's fantastic. So, so that I don't have to actually enlarge it that much, because the more you enlarge it, the more the quality is going to go down. All right. So instead of using the 50 millimeter 1.4, I'm using the 85 millimeter 1.8. So it actually, it's for my seating purposes. I'm not walking around, okay? So for when I walk around, I use 50 millimeter lenses because I might go to the back of the room. I might come up to the desk. I might do the walk of focus. So I can enlarge those. But for sitting here, you don't see me pulling the chair up and back and all that kind of stuff. I might lean forward to make a point, all right? But the camera, don't forget, is limited onto where it's going to focus. So that is what we've got going on. So Sammy, being a technical kind of guy, is actually noticing what lenses I've got going. So now, what I have going now is a trick. It's only one camera, and I've made, out of the one camera, I've made 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I've made 5 scenes. So anybody that does live streaming and you use any kind of a software, usually a scene is something where you could place something in, okay? And what you normally place is a camera, okay? So I have created 5 scenes, and all it does is it brings it closer, farther, and it crops it. So it makes it look like I got a lot of cameras going on right now, but it's only one. Shh. And I'd show you which one it is. It's all the same lens. So this one's a little closer to my face, okay? And when it changes in how many seconds? In 7 seconds, you'll see a different focal length, but it's the same lens and it's the same camera. So that's how you look like a bigger channel than you are. So I do have 5 cameras running in here, okay? So sue me, or actually get in line, all right? So that is how we're operating this. This is how I keep it alive, you know, so it's not stagnant, where it just stays in one actual place, is I make it come in, and in 20 seconds, look where my fingers is. So I have that there for me, but you can look at it too. So in 12 seconds, it's going to change like I change the lens or I change the view. But all I'm doing is zooming at different zooms. And then between the cuts, I don't have them doing a hard cut, okay? It does a soft cut where it blurs itself in, a transition as they call it, okay? So let's see what Scotty's got to say. Scotty is saying, any president worth anything should have a chili dog now and then. I think Reagan liked jelly beans though. Yeah, he actually got me to try some jelly beans, because it's like, what's with the eating of the jelly beans? So let's see what we got going. Did you ever sell the camera, the R6? Well, here's your biggest hint. We're looking at it. So no, the guy did not, nobody came. I think the current word is something that I just learned. It's called ghosting. So all of a sudden, the person that was interested, no reply. But you know what? God turned it into a blessing, because I think I need a Canon in here to be representative, because I'm a camera channel. So I got Sony, Nikon, and I didn't have a Canon in here. So I took the Nikon Z6 off the lineup, and I'm going to sell that camera. And I'm going to start selling off my Nikon lenses, because all my Nikon lenses are not the new mirrorless kind. I got a 24-70, the 70-200, the VR, the 24-70 2.8, but not the VR, the 50mm 1.4, and then some that are not even G lenses, and that camera. So I'm going to liquidate that so that I can actually purchase, because I can't put anything on the credit cards. Remember, they locked down all my credit cards. So when I have to buy something, it's got to be through an Amazon gift card, which is now down to $4. So I see things that I want to buy, well, like AAA batteries. I just noticed I only got 2 left. So I want to go over and buy it. Credit card. Wrong answer. So the credit card is locked down. So I make it known that people are, if you want to donate, yeah, you could donate, but I'd appreciate an Amazon gift card. So this way I could buy things that I need just for daily living, like my protein powder for breakfast. So Jim Monday sent me one. for the month, and I used it up. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Jim. So let's see, where was I leaving off? So that was Sammy. So did I give you a good update, Sammy, so you know what's going on? I'm going to keep the R6 because I think that was a God thing. I think God arranged it so it did not sell, and I wound up having an incredibly nice picture out of this camera. And so we're back up to the high quality, high-end stuff in terms of what we're producing. Now, what I did have a problem with, and why I'm down to just $4 on my Amazon gift card, is the one that I'm streaming, the computer that I'm streaming from, which is the Mac Mini M1. It keeps dropping down to like 50 megabits per second, but for the house we have the 1,000 up, 1,000 down. Okay, so I traced it out. It's the cable. So I started looking up cables, and they had one for $11, a 20-footer, or was it a 15-footer? A Cat 8. So the higher the number you go with the Cat numbers, the more the throughput, the bandwidth. So the Cat 8 is, I think it passes 40 gigabytes per second. The Cat 7 is, I think, 20 gigabytes per second, but it allows longer runs. The Cat 8, it's got to be shorter runs, but you're getting a much more comfortable, easy pass-through. Well, the camera's right here. I mean, the computer's right here. So you're looking at it with the new cable. So for $11.88 or something like that, I was able to put it on the gift card. Thank you, Jim Mundy. And now it's got $4 left. So towards the end of the month, when I have to buy my protein powder and stuff, I'll be looking for those gift cards. Hint, hint. So anybody that wants to donate something, send a gift card to my email, PeterGregg@AOL.com. I just put it right into my Amazon account. So Charles says, sorry, the Eagles lost. It was Charles for the Eagles? Well, I looked them up, and the team that I wanted to win won. Okay, and that's because I like that quarterback. But then when I looked into the other quarterback, that guy, I like him too. But there's just something about that Mahomes that I really, really, really like. So I'm glad that they won. But it's not with a vengeance, because I don't watch football. Okay, so I guess Charles was rooting for the Eagles, and the other team won. What's the name of the other team, Peter? I don't know. Don't be testing me when I'm on Friday night. This is when we're having a good time. Okay, so maybe that's why I like it better tonight. Yeah, we got a brand spanking new LUT. Jim Mundy. Hey, Jim, you're loading up tonight, so now you know what a LUT is. Okay, so you know what a LUT is. Let me take it one little tiny bit step forward. Okay, so the LUT doesn't go in the camera. The LUT goes in the software. So the camera is putting this out. I showed it. I'll show it again just because I can. I like it. I like doing that. So this is what the camera's pumping out. It looks like this. This is the LUT on C-Log 3. Okay. So the R6 gives you a couple of C-Logs. The C-Log or C-Log 1 and C-Log 3. But the R6 Mark II does not. It gives you only the one. So let's turn that guy on real quick. Okay, so this guy, the R6 Mark II, only gives you one C-Log, and it's C-Log 3. So just like this one, this is what it looks like coming out of this camera. Okay, so if you were going to broadcast this and you did not apply a LUT, it's going to look like this, and people are going to think, what the heck is going on? Now, if you bring this into your Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere, you also, I just turned the LUT back on, okay? It also will look like that, okay? So whenever you bring it into your software of choice, it has to be able to apply a LUT. There is a camera, however, I don't want to say its name, Panasonic S52, where it'll actually put the LUT in the camera. So when it comes out, you've already been LUTted. What a thing to say. You have been, the LUT has already been baked in. It's applied. And that is a good thing, because that is where you will have your custom LUT if you make one yourself or if you buy one. And every major camera company gives you LUTs for their own camera. So you can go to Canon, go to their support page, look for the software, and then look for LUTs. And Canon's got like 15 different LUTs that they give you free of charge. Same with Nikon. Same with Fuji. Same with Panasonic. Why am I naming names? Same with Sony. Okay. However, the Panasonic S5 Mark II that's coming here eventually. All right. See how pretty that blue looks? Well, it just changed. I wanted to point out. Well, my shirt's a nice looking blue too. Okay. I think I'm like in a Tom Buck mode. He's probably got the same shirt or something very close to it. But they give you the LUTs for free. But the Panasonic, you just like, instead of going to standard or vivid or neutral or whatever the profiles that are in your camera, you apply the LUT in the Panasonic camera as if it's a profile. And it's like, wow, that's amazing. And that is also what makes that camera a little bit special. So Jim knows what a LUT is now. And so we do learn a little something. Does Sony have the same problem with the blues? No. Watch, Sammy. I'm going to stand up, okay? And you see the blue? See how pretty that blue is? And even the other side, that blue over there, now it just turned to purple. Okay, now watch on the Sony, okay? So the Sony, the blue is blue, okay? My shirt is blue. Sony does blues right. No LUTs here. This is just the standard profile. And if I bring myself in a little bit closer, it's zooms it in, but the colors all stay beautiful. Same thing with the side one, which gives me my side view. So that is what we've got going on that one. Okay, so now when I sit down again, I have to find where my seated camera is. There it is. Okay, now I'll sit here and I will turn on the rotating camera again, just to keep it alive, make it look more lively. So no, Sammy, no problems with that's why the E10 is so good. That E10 is one of the best bangs for the buck. But you know what you got now? You've got Canon coming to the game with their S50. On the S50, it competes very much, even in price. One is $699, one's $679. So the new S50 is $799. $679. Let's say that in a complete sentence, Peter. So the new S50 from Canon is the replacement for the M50 Mark II and probably the M6 Mark II, all rolled up into one, and they created one called the S50. So it takes the lenses. It takes all the lenses that are the R mount. It'll take the adapter, which will put every one except the M lenses on there, so that you're restricted from using the M lenses. So that's what that is about. Here's Anthony. Hi, big guy. How you doing? Good to see you. Hi to the family. Not that they know who I am, but you know, family is probably the most important thing we got. We just got to have family. Okay. So, you know, I love you, Anthony. I try to say that to everybody so that everybody gets to hear that they're loved. I was going to bring something up, but it's sad. But so I'm not gonna. But if you got kids, love on them a little bit, okay? Because they need your love, whether you realize it or not. Here's Carlos. He's on the way home, and he just wanted to say, I love you, Peter. I love you too. Carlos, his channel is Motivated Minds. Are you still actively putting stuff up? No, I think you told me that you're doing more on someplace else. Is it Twitter or Instagram? That's fine. Just be active. Here's Mark in Chicago. Hi, Peter. Hi, Mark. Love you, buddy. How's it going? Thanks for the reply on the email. Thanks for the critique. Well, you know, critiques can be dangerous because sometimes it pisses people off. So you know I don't have a bad motivation for doing that. I wanted to actually bring you, you know, Mark, one step forward. Mother, may I? Yes, one step forward. Okay. So if you go over to the Walk Like Alice channel, he actually has, it's a little older now, but he's the king of street photography, or one of the kings. He's got a lesson on how to, what do you call it? How to process street photography photos. And that is, each photo's got to tell a story, and it's usually a face. Not always, it could be a dog, okay? Could be a building, but there's a story there. So Mark sent me some pictures. He was all proud of them, and he did an awesome, freaking awesome job. So I took the liberty of taking his pictures, not all of them, but some of them, and making them so they tell a story. So I did a little bit of cropping over here, a little cropping over there, and then you do what's called dodge and burn. Woody would know about that, because dodging and burning is how you get one part of the picture to come to be focused on, and the others to kind of like be a little bit in the background. It makes you actually, you know, see the picture the way it was meant to be. So it was a hard thing for me to do, in terms of I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I know you pretty well, but not well enough to know if I would hurt your feelings by doing that. And I definitely did not want to. So I'm glad you took it in a good way. People, you know, that have a good heart towards you, and if they critique you, it's usually with love. And I hope it is. And those that are not doing it with love, God created a finger for that. One of these, okay? So Jeff is here. Good afternoon, Peter. In Australia, that's why he's saying good afternoon. So he's 12 plus 2 or 3 or 4 hours. So it's 10:53. So he's 10:53 in the morning. But then you got to add a minimum of 3 hours. So 10, 11, 12. So he's at 1:53 or 2:53 right now. So that is my buddy Jeff. A magic moment photography. Good afternoon, Peter. Hope all is well. And here is my buddy Norm. Merry Christmas, Peter. How you doing, Norm? It's always wonderful to see you. Merry Christmas. Good evening, Greggies around the world. Nice shirt. Peter, no camera labels tonight. They all have labels except the... Shh. This is the only one. I didn't put a label on this one. So this is the R6 Mark II. Okay. So I didn't put the labels. So the way the labels work here is if the label is in red, it's a static camera. I mean, it's not going to change. Until I push a button, it's not going to change. Okay. So I can push a button, I can push another button, but if there's no label just for tonight, you guys that are watching it on the rerun, that means it's the R6 Mark II, okay? So very simple, very, very simple. Craig says they said the same thing about the evils of the internet in the 1990s, and they said the same thing about where you were scanning for your food, where they go beep, 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 you know, can of tuna fish, milk, whatever, and they're going, that's the prelude to the devil's 666. These scanners are, you know, so yeah, they're doing that again. So, wait, I didn't finish reading your comment, Craig. They said the same thing about the evils of the internet in the early 90s. Like all things, AI will be used for good and for evil. In the end, good will win out. There, he's got that down pat. Excellent. So Norm says, oh, I see the label now, Canon R6. Good lens. Why not use the eye focus to solve the focus situation? Because it keeps going off of it, and I don't know why. So when I restricted it, problem solved. And what's the saying, Norm? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I restricted it, and it's working. Does the Nikon eye focus or autofocus work better than the Canon system? The camera that I have is the older one, so I'd have to say the Canon works better, but I don't have a newer Canon. Well, yeah, I do have the ZFC, but it's not connected. So they've all gotten really good. This one is basically a ripoff from the R3, which is a $6,000, $6,500 camera. So Jeff says, Peter, out of interest, the RF85 1.8 lens you are using on the R6, is it as good as the EF85 1.2? Well, just remember, Jeff, it's the USM. So this is the EF. Yep, there we go. Okay. So this is the EF, not the RF. I don't have the RF 85 millimeter. If I did, I'd slap it on there. Okay. So I have the 50 millimeter, the 35, the 16. I think there's a couple others that I don't remember. Okay, those are all RF mounts. So I have the 50 millimeter 1.2. So the weakness of those, so you know, Jeff, the weakness of those lenses is not the quality. The 85 1.2L lens is probably a higher quality, but the RF version of it probably is darn close because it's new. They got new engineering in there. But what it has is the older focus motors, the part that moves the glass to make things focus. So the glass is heavy. So the newer lenses have the new motors. The older lenses, they're good. They're great. For pictures, they're absolutely stunningly awesome. Okay? So if I had a choice of the 1.8 in an RF or the 1.2, it would be a hard choice. So me not active, I'm retired, I would probably take the RF mount. It's just going to work better. But there's something that's darn beautiful about those 1.2L lenses. So Norm is saying, okay, gotcha. All right. The R6 Mark II has no label. The R6 is a camera I own. Almost sold it, that close. If the guy showed up with the money, okay, I would not have this camera right now. It would be in somebody else's hands. But it's a God thing, okay? I like to give credit where credit is due. So the camera did not sell, and with the new LUT, I'm keeping this. I think it looks gorgeous. My skin colors are nice. And if you guys don't like it, tell me, because I know most of you are at a pro level. So I do want to hear the feedback. Be nice. I mean, I'm not here to get my feelings hurt. Okay. But if it's something I'm missing, like you've got purple here and you got blue there. Whoops. Okay. So it's able to actually decipher it and do a good job. So Jim says, so C-Log 3 into Ecamm. Ecamm allows me to apply a LUT. So it's one of the perks of the software. You can apply a LUT right in the software. So I'm feeding it the C-Log 3, and then I applied my own custom-made LUT. Okay? And once you learn how to make LUTs, you just start making them. Okay? So maybe I'll make a video on how to make a LUT. It will cost you some money to make a LUT. And that's because you need software that will make a LUT. Okay, so log into the camera, Ecamm applies the LUT, and fabulous quality goes out to YouTube. Yes, you got that right. So the Panasonic S52, which is my shortcut for S5 Mark II, allows you to apply a LUT, but in the camera, not in Ecamm. Ecamm will still apply the LUT. But let's say I wanted to go to your house because you were having a birthday party and I wanted to take some video, I could just have the LUT baked in. I won't see it where it's all dull and ugly looking. All right. So that's one of the few cameras. I wanted to say it's the only camera, but it might not be the only camera. All right. So that's one of the advantages of that camera. So one of the disadvantages of that camera, before everybody goes goo goo gaga over it, is if you happen to shoot 4K and 60p, it brings it, the Panasonic S52 brings it to a 1.5 crop, where the R6 does not. You could shoot 30p, 60p, all full frame. Where the Canon does crop is if you add the in-body highest end image stabilization. It'll crop it there. So, who was up next? It was Jeff. What's the difference between Canon RAW 1 and Canon RAW 3 in the R6 Mark II? I ask because I am still new to video auditing. Okay, so if you're talking RAW for pictures, okay, I'm not aware of which RAW it has, but I am aware that there's different levels of RAW. All right, so if you're talking, let's go with something I do know. Okay, if you're talking video, it's RAW is very large, so they have compression software stuff that they apply. So it's RAW, but they compress it more, and probably in RAW 3. And in RAW 1, it's the most it should be what RAW should be, okay? So there's a number of ways to arrive at these higher quality levels. So H.264 IPB or IPB Lite is the lowest quality level. I did not say it's a bad quality level. I just wanted to bring that up because some people hear me and they misinterpret it and they think it's like, oh, Peter doesn't want me shooting like that. No, it's actually nice. You would not know that it's not nice. We're actually running H.264 right now, and it probably is an HPB. I'm sorry, IPB. So there's nothing wrong with it. However, you can up the game, so to speak. Like when you order a steak, there's different levels of steak, all right? So you got all I. So the R6 and the R6 Mark II do not do all I. Actually, what does all I? Even the S52 from Panasonic, the one I want to buy, does not do all I. Unless you go to their next model, which is the S5 Mark II X. It adds a couple of key features, all I, and it adds ProRes, which was my next level of introductory. So you can get out of H.264 and go to ProRes, which is what the movie industry uses a lot of, ProRes. Excuse me. And there's 4 or 5 different levels of ProRes. So you can raise and lower your game, and live streaming and YouTubing. All it requires is the lowest level crap, okay? And I don't mean crap like junk. I mean, if you were shooting weddings for a living, you would not be at that level, okay? Or unless you didn't know better. So that's the stair step. So RAW is at the very top. So RAW 1 or RAW 3, I'm guessing it'd be RAW number 1, would be uncompressed RAW. It would be just like the RAW you were getting out of your camera for pictures. Then they needed a way to make it more manageable in terms of space. So camera companies are adding different levels of RAW, and they're more and more compressed. Does it make them bad? No. But those guys that are pristine, I want the best, the creme de la creme, you don't want compressed, okay? Would I use compressed? Absolutely, I would use compressed. And yes, I'm a stickler for quality. But I'm not a fickler for buying 42 hard drives just so I can shoot raw uncompressed. Just ain't going to happen. There's a point where it's overkill. Okay. So, did I answer your question, Jeff? I hope so. Raymond's here. Hi, Raymond. Love you, buddy. Good to see you. Bop, 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 bop. There we go. So, I did see your newest video. What a handsome young man he is. I like making him blush. Okay, and I teased him a little bit. But Raymond is just, he can take it. It's surprising, because I tease him pretty good, you know. I did want to go in and take you to the desktop real quick. Okay, so now you're looking at my desktop. I want to show off what you guys have done. Okay, so I'm not going to go into these, but these are guys, which is you. You're the family. Okay, so Geeky Nerdy Techie put up a video on the MacBook Air. Aaron Short, and this is just today. Aaron Short put up a video on guitars. Give me a second. Let me double check and make sure that the yeah, it's pumping out. Okay. Sometimes when I go to the desktop, it goes into a mute, and that's not good. Okay. And David Osler put something up today. So, excuse me. So yesterday, Tom Buck. Oh, I called Tom and I talked to him. Was it today or was it yesterday? He put up a video. And it's about a recorder that's it's on your body recorder. It looks like a lav mic, but it's not transmitting. Randy put up a video on the Nikon ZFC. Randy put a video up on the MacBook 12-inch. And now this one, okay, I do want to show you. I promised Liam that I would mention him. So Simon is Liam's dad, ordinary filmmaker. So Simon has kicked it up a notch. He is letting Liam use the 70D camera, okay? But here's the catch. Liam has to record it. He has to get it in the computer. He has to process it, and he has to upload it to YouTube. So everything is done here by Liam, except Simon steps in to do the color correction. But he is, of course, teaching him how to do it. Liam is now 8 years old. And he said, Peter, will you mention me? Okay, I'm mentioning you, Liam. Not only am I mentioning you, big boy, but I'm also showing a little piece of your video. Okay, so let's just go back. So I did my promise. So he's got that. And then this week, okay, we also have Ordinary Filmmaker put up a video. It happened again. In the Blues, Shane put one up from Australia. Actually, something woke Liam up. He did something on candy. He did it for Valentine's Day. He's calling it Candy Day because his mother gave him candy. Okay. And this is Liam right here. Okay. What did you say? You want to see Liam? You don't really want to see Liam. Okay, so he's eating something, I think it's the equivalent of Skittles. What a handsome, look at the thickness on his neck at 8 years old. He is going to be someone to deal with by the time he's 12, 13, 14, when puberty hits and his body starts growing and the muscles, and he is going to be someone to contend with. Look at and he's gorgeous. Well, then I'm a little bit biased, but he's just drop dead gorgeous. So he's 8 years old, and he actually put up two videos. Okay, so that's one, and this is his dad, the R5 Mark II, 25 steps of dynamic range. Randy put up a video. Aaron Short put up a video. Randy put up another video. This is this week, so this is the week we just finishing. Aaron Short put up a video. Randy put up another video. Let's just go into one of Randy's for a second. Okay? Let's see what he's got going there. So he's got 100, and I can't read it. It's either 181 or 161. I think it's 181 subscribers. I always give any one of you immediately a thumbs up. And he grew this from like 40, 50, and he is just pounding the pavement with the videos. So, and this one, it's about the Blue Yeti microphone. So let's go back, see what you did this week. So he's got the Blue Yeti, Planetarium. Oh, he snuck another one. Spring is coming. Oh my God, I didn't see that one. Dear Lord Jesus. And look at, I did not even give it a thumbs up. So you guys want to go over, and to anybody in our family, go in there and give him a thumbs up. That I'm putting it up. I'm going to have to look and see what he did here. What a handsome kid. Okay, enough, Peter. All right, so Randy did another one on the ZFC part 1, and look at here. Randy, Aaron Short music. Charles, did you do one in Spanish? Un consejo. I don't know what that means, and chances are he's speaking Spanish. So let's give him a thumbs up, because that's what we do. We give thumbs up to our family. So that, see, he's wearing the earbuds. So let's go over here. So Charles put one up. Randy put another one up. Mr. Camera Junkie put one up. Let's go in there. I'm sure I didn't see it. And let's give him a thumbs up. So this is the Sigma 50mm 1.4 DGDN. So that lens is coming out for the Panasonic also. And I don't think we have a price on it yet. Wait, I want to see his face. Let's see his face. Another handsome dude. There he is, Mr. Camera Junkie. He'll be on tomorrow night. Okay. So we just gave him a thumbs up. He put up a video this week. And that is probably the lens I'm going to get when I make the purchase of my S52. So Ordinary Filmmaker, Randy, David Osler, Randy. This is going to be up next. Okay, she's going to be up in, I lost track of the time, 11:13. She's going to be up in 45 minutes. Okay, so yeah, she's got a thumbs up, and she's got 54 views. And look at, people are leaving comments. Even this, who's this dude left a comment there. So that's Sly. So I've been helping her set this up. So for tonight, she's got a couple of new lenses that she's using to up the game. So this lens got replaced. So it's going to be a little bit better. We replaced this lens, which is her main lens, with a sharper, better lens. So I'm not going to take away her thunder. I'm going to let her tell you what she changed, what we did with the colors, what she did with the audio. So when you have a channel, there's a lot of fine tuning. So you guys that are here with me, we're going to follow her over there. Okay. So she was one of the ones that put up a video this week. And then Ordinary Filmmaker, and oh, David Sailors. I haven't seen him in a while. He doesn't come in and say hello that much. David, have you left us? Okay, so let's close this out and go back. And let's go back to, which camera would you guys like? I'm kind of enamored with the new LUT, so I think the shirt looks good and all that kind of good stuff. So let's go back to, let's try to get these comments finished up. I was telling Raymond that I love him. Mark, I love him. And I didn't take it in a bad way. I'm glad. I'm very, very happy. Because I'd hate to lose you because I got you pissed off in some fashion. I like you here with me. Okay? To me, it means something. Lewis is here. Peter, I'm here. Good. I'm happy, Lewis. Did you have to work tonight? So you're 3 hours behind. So it's 8:30 there. 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. So it's 8:30 where Lewis is. So Mark says, I meant to respond to your reply, but I've been busy with working on After Effects at work all week, and now I'm currently sick. By the way, I plan on making a photography book this year. I think that's a good thing to do. I thought about making one myself. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but that is a good thing. People like to support their favorite photographers, and what better thing is there to have a book? Remember Rylan, the young boy? I think he's all of 17 now, maybe 18. He does the wildlife shooting. So he put out a book. So when you want to support him, instead of saying things like I say, like, you know, get me an Amazon gift certificate so I can have a little money to spend on stuff, you have a book. And that would be great for you, Mark. You got some really awesome pictures. And if you want help with the pictures, ask, as long as you're not going to get offended, okay? So Lewis is saying, Peter, what do you recommend for couples, families, focal length, and lens for Sony or Canon, please? The family in December never called me. All right. This is where, it's a good question, Lewis, okay? This is where some learning has to take place a little bit, all right? A lens is a lens is a lens is a lens. Doesn't matter what camera you put it on, it's always going to be the same lens. So you're not going to get more depth of field if you put one lens on the one camera like this one versus putting the same exact lens on, let's say, a crop sensor camera. You're not going to get a different depth of field. Now that is probably fighting words for a lot of you guys, okay? Because the way it goes is on the, let's say, micro four thirds. It's like, it's a 2x crop. So they say you lose your depth of field. Now that statement is true. You do lose your depth of field, but it's not the lens that changed, okay? It's the focal length that's being recorded that changed. So if I took a picture, okay, here's a 4x6, all right? That you don't know these people, okay? So they're actually relatives. So whatever I shot this with, that lens is going to work the same on every camera. Nothing's going to change. And sometimes it's just not worth the fight because the person will come in and they'll start, yeah, Peter, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Well, yeah, I do. Okay. And if I were going to bet on somebody, I'd bet on me on this particular one. All right. So this would be a full frame sensor. So this lens is actually recording everything that's being projected here because it's full frame. Okay. Now, if I put this same exact lens on a crop camera, right, it would be like if I took a scissors and I cut the 4x6 print. So your print is going to be smaller because your sensor is smaller. It's going to be like a rectangle in here. Is it going to be the same depth of field? Yeah. Is it going to be the same f-stop no matter which camera you put it on? Yes, it will. So why am I playing with words? Am I giving you semantics here? No, I'm giving you the truth so you understand how it works, okay? So the truth of the fact is, on a crop sensor, you would actually be cropping this. Now, if you were going to print it on a 4x6, you would zoom in to fill in the corners. Now you've changed the perception of the depth of field. You've also changed something else. What happens to all the light that you cut off here and across the top and down the side, okay? What happens to all that light? It winds up on the floor. You're actually getting less light in the camera. Is it because you're getting less light through the lens? No. The lens is giving you the same amount of light. So what's happening is the light is actually being thrown away. So if you have all of this and every pixel is a certain amount of light, let's say 100%, and I cut off this side, the top, and the bottom, I just cut off a lot of light. And if I zoomed it out so it would fill up the 4x6 again, I've also changed the perception of the depth of field. So why is it necessary to know this? Because of Lewis's question. That's why. All right. So, you know, when you have a wider millimeter lens, like let's say a 16 millimeter or a 24 millimeter, and let's say your picture is like where my hands are. All right. But on a 16 millimeter, the camera will correct this. All right. It's going to be bulging like that. So let's move this. It's going to bulge like that. So in plain terms, what's it going to do? It's going to make your nose bigger. It's going to make it look almost a little bit fisheye look, but not going to fisheye. All right. So what that's called is compression. Okay. So a professional photographer normally, this doesn't say there's not exceptions. A professional photographer normally would not shoot with a 35 millimeter lens for portraits. So you say, yeah, but Peter, the 35 millimeter lens on a crop sensor camera, it becomes 50 millimeters. What did I just teach you? It doesn't become 50 millimeters. It's still 35 millimeters. So the compression, if it's got a little bulbous to it, even if it's just a little bit, it's not flattering to the face. So you want to get up higher focal lengths. So the ideal lens for portraits is 85 millimeters, okay? And if you go a little higher, it's even better. You'll see a lot of photographers shooting with the 70 to 200 professional 2.8 lens when they're shooting anybody with faces. That's because the compression is higher, okay? It makes it goes in. Instead of going out and making it look like a bigger nose, it goes in and it actually is more flattering to your face. So the problem with the 85 millimeter lens on a crop sensor camera, you might not have enough room, okay? So if you're going to shoot in somebody's living room and you want to shoot the entire family because you're doing a portrait like Lewis just said, all right? He needs a wide lens. It's going to make the people look a little abnormal. Okay, so you want to use the highest focal length that you can comfortably get away with when you're shooting portraits. That's my actual answer. So I just spoke some truths to you, and they are fighting words. Okay, because photographers usually, especially photographers, they have an ego. And that's why I've learned to just let them argue and just listen to the fodder that gets spit out. But they really sometimes, not all the time, sometimes they don't know what they're talking about. So that's a word of warning to, what is the saying that we're taught just as kids? Don't believe everything you read, and don't believe everything you see either. Okay? So you've got to learn who you can trust, and if they have an agenda, or they have a twist. They might have a twist where, you had tissues, facial tissues. Little by little, they became known as Kleenex. But Kleenex is a brand. So if I have Scotty's, I would still say, pass me the Kleenex box. Okay? Same thing with vacuums and refrigerators. You're going to Hoover the rug. Is Hoover the only people that make a vacuum cleaner? Heck no. And how about the Frigidaire? It's a refrigerator. Oh no, it's the Frigidaire. So the name takes on, okay, the whole thing. Okay, I can't think of the word I'm trying to get, but it becomes the identity for the thing. So now we have been, it's in 2023. In 2020, we started to get digital cameras, and we started to get the crop sensors, because the wafers that they cut the sensors are so freaking big that they had to cut it down to make the cameras affordable. Okay, so a 1.6 crop on a Rebel body from Canon, the D30, was $3,500. If they made that thing full size, a sensor, that sucker would be like $5,000. So that's how you have the crop sensor that came in. Okay, Canon embraced the 1.6. Everybody else embraced the 1.5. Fine. Okay, what can I tell you? So that's my answer to you. The highest focal length, Louis Lazuka, the highest focal length, like Mr. Camry Junkie says, you know, up your skills before you improve your skills before you improve your gear. So what I just did was a little bit of improving your skills. I realize it's a little boring. I'm actually falling asleep myself. I'm getting sleepy. Okay, so but I wanted to take the time to teach what I would suggest to you. So Randy says Canon Sony is a little ahead on the autofocusing speed, and the Nikons do wander off. So when Randy talks, he's got a lot of hands-on with these cameras. So you would kind of pay attention to him. He's got a lot of hands-on with a lot of cameras. I think he's got more cameras than me now. Okay. So here's Tom. I talked to Tom on the phone this week, and I said, Tom, how you doing, buddy? He said, who is this? I said, PeterGregg. And then the next thing I was doing, Peter, Gregg. No, he didn't do that. He recognized me right off the bat. So I called him, we talked, and I thanked him for all the wonderful things that he does. And the reason he doesn't come in too often or comes in late, like this show should have been over a half hour ago, is there's a new hockey team in town, and he likes to go to the games. And they're at Friday night, the same as I go live. So Tom Buck is hockey game, Peter. Hockey game, hockey game, hockey. Well, guess I lost. So he must have just come home from the hockey game, although I'm a little bit behind on here. So that is Tom Buck, and you saw he did a couple of videos. So don't forget, we're giving love to our people, okay? That's a critical part of our Friday night group. We're not large, but we make an impact. So Mark says, Louis, I would use the 70 to 200, hello, 70 to 200L f2.8 for the Canon. Okay, so I happen to know, Mark, he can't afford that lens. All right, so he's going to have to pick a lower end poison. So if he could afford an 85 millimeter in some brand, that's what he would do. But yeah, if I was shooting portraits, one of the first things I'd pull out would be the 70 to 200. Okay, and that is a professional photographer straight from the horse's mouth, you know, from the mouths of babes. In the blues is, I'm super late. I love you. You can come in whenever you like. We talked on the phone this week too, right? So Shane just got his new S5 Mark II. And I don't remember if he got a lens or something with it, but he's got to go. You know, no, that's Randy. I'm reading Randy's thing out loud. So he's going to be making more with that camera. Cool camera. He's my go-to guy on that camera. So Randy says, bye-bye, I have to go to a meeting. So do you really have to go to a meeting, or are you going to go fall asleep? You have a meeting with your chair? Jerry says, hi, Peter. Sorry I'm late. Good evening, everybody, and nice to see you, Peter. Good to see you too, Jerry. I love you, buddy. I love you too, Randy. I love you too, Shane, in Australia. Jeff, I'm not so sure. No, I love you. I love you, Jeff. You know I love you. Sorry, Peter, I meant to say C-Log 1 and C-Log 3. Well, I probably covered it in my answer because I talk a lot. Oh, you said RAW 1 and RAW. Yeah. C-Log 1 is more compressed. C-Log 3 is more for consumers. Some people say, like me, it doesn't do as good of a job, but it's better than not doing C-Log. So, yeah. Well, you got your answer to RAW anyway. You should have done that right away. I did all that splaining Ricky Ricardo. I did all that splaining, and it wasn't even necessary. So, but I love you, Jeff. I love everybody in here. That's part of what makes our group wonderful. Louis, Peter, do you have any tips for putting out videos when you don't have any good or bad ideas? Be a copycat. Monkey see, monkey do. If I do a video on something, I didn't corner the market on it. Okay? People will say, oh, you copied me. Sue me. Or get in line. For me, in my case, I'm already being sued. Okay? So, find something that you like that somebody else does and do your own thing. I think there's a few hundred or maybe more videos on YouTube. So, do a video, copycat me. Copycat ordinary filmmaker. Copycat Tom Buck. We all have different groups of people that watch. There's no one on the planet that can corner the YouTube market. Only God. Okay? All right. Hey, Ken's in here 2 weeks in a row. I love you, buddy. Thank you for coming in and saying hi. I hope you're doing well. Catch me up on your photo gear. Did you buy, sell, trade? What you got going? You working with an iPhone or a phone? Tell me what you're doing. So, but I love you. Thank you for coming in. Lewis says, wow, Tom, I've been debating whether to buy the Zoom F2 or should I buy the DJI mic? No. Maybe Sly will tell you about that tonight. Okay? If not Sly, then Tom. But so Tom actually bought the F2 that you're mentioning. That should be in all the endorsement that you need. Now I bought the Tascam DR2. No, DR10. Okay, so if I had to do it over again, after what, if you don't watch Tom's video, you're going to miss out. All right, he explains better than I ever heard it before what 32-bit floating point is. Okay, so that is that's worth watching it. And the F2 from Zoom does 32-bit floating point. So Mr. Camera Junkie is saying hi to the family and to Peter. My Galaxy S3 Mark II, Galaxy S6 Mark II, doesn't turn on anymore. Should I dump it or do you want to take a look at it? Peter. Raymond says, Mark, yes, you should make photography books. Absolutely. Oh, for both of us. Got it. I had to do a Raymond interpretation. Oh, it's because I was going to rent a lens $50 per day for my next gig until I buy one. All right, what camera are you going to put it on? And then I can kind of guide you as to how much room. You're going to shoot them in their living room. Try to give me the dimensions of the living room. Is it 18 by 22? Is it 12 by 15? Your best choice, if you can make it work, is the 85 millimeter 1.8 lens. If it won't work, then the 50 millimeter 1.4 lens. So that's pretty helpful. So crop sensor is okay to use? Oh, absolutely. They're all tools. It's like a hammer. It's like, think of something that's silly, like a restaurant. This chef might want Cuisinart knives. This chef might use Cutco knives. I don't know the names of many knives, okay? And we're picking on the knives instead of picking on what the final dish is. That's the important key point, is the final dish. So if you went for dinner with your buddies and the guy goes, excuse me, waiter, can you please ask the chef what's the brand of the knives that he uses? So before I order my meal, I need to know what brand of knives. Louis, you'd probably be laughing at him, okay? Because it's laughable. So let's go. I'm passing by you a little bit, Louis. You're talking to other people. The 70 to 200 I can rent for probably $40. Yeah, he corrects it. That would probably be your best choice because you can zoom it to 70, all the way up to 200. So that gives you all the compression you want and then some. Okay, so Jerry says, I need a portrait lens for my Fuji. I'm thinking of the 56 1.2, the Viltrox 75 1.2. Any ideas on what would be best? Fuji X-T5. All right, so the 56 and the 75, I'd go with the 75. So, but we are entering a new problem here. Is it too tight for where you want to do the portraits? If you say, I usually have all the space that I want, and it's usually headshots, 75 1.2. Easy peasy, okay? So if it's going to be too tight, then you want to give yourself a little space, the 56 1.2. Pop. Sorry, it's actually $164 to rent the 6D Mark II and $130 to rent the R7 and $225 for the R5. If you're shooting portraits, okay, unless you're getting a thrill, okay, boys and their toys, then you don't need to go anywhere up to those levels. You can get the Canon R and get the 70 to 200 lens. And you don't need the 2.8. You can use the f4. Okay? And then you're going to be getting a good quality, and the lens is the most important part, not the camera. So I noticed you're going, ooh, 6D Mark II, R7, R5. You're looking at the camera. Stop looking at the camera. It's the lens. The better the quality. You could do it with an E10, but the E10 is going to need a good piece of glass. So you could use the E10, Sony E10. You could rent that if it's cheap, and you can rent the Carl Zeiss 50mm 1.4 lens. And if I had that, I'd beat the living crap out of most people here if we were gotten into a contest. Okay? So, but there's another thing to really like, cherish, fondle, molest the camera that you're using, where you're going to feel it up. You like what it does, okay? But give me the Sony E10 and the Carl Zeiss 50mm. Put me in the competition, buddy. Let's see how the chips fall, okay? I don't mean to sound sassy, but I don't want you to spend a lot of money that you don't need to, unless it's all the money's going to be for fun. If the money's going to be for fun, go for it. I'm not going to take your fun away. I'm not stupid. Okay? So Ken says, hi Peter, no real camera yet, just got an iPhone 14. Oh, you got something good there. The Pro Max. Congratulations. Day 3 of COVID. Hope I make it. Hope everybody is doing well. Okay, you're going to make it. Up your D, vitamin D3, up your vitamin C, up your zinc, up, if you can get your hands on it, oil of oregano drops, not the extra strength, the plain ones. They are an antibiotic, it's natural, and they're an antiviral. Okay, so I would be taking 3 drops a day, 3 to 4 times a day. I can't take them straight. I've got a sissy throat, a wuss throat. I can't drink whiskey, it burns too much. So I like today when I made my smoothie, I put 3 or 4 drops right in my smoothie. Done. Okay, and that's just maintenance. So if you're going to take it like a medicine, Ken, it's oregano with an L on the end of it. Okay, so it's oreganol. It's P3 on the bottle. P for Peter, okay, 3. And they make an extra strength because boys and their toys, we think better, stronger is better. No, you want the regular strength. And you just keep that handy. And if you get sick with something, you start taking that, and you can also use it for maintenance. But just as important, I would be up to 3, 4, 5,000 units of vitamin D3 a day. Right now, I would be zinc. I would be using the zinc, the sucker tablets. You want to bathe your throat with the zinc tablets, and rather than take a pill, okay? Because the COVID seems to attack in the lungs. It's a strong flu, but whether you realize it or not, you've actually been building up an immunity over the years, okay? And it itself has gotten weaker. So let's put Ken in our prayers. So Ken, I pray over you right now in Jesus' name that you're healed and you come right out of that COVID. There you go. I pray for you. So you guys that want to pray for him, pray. It's quick one, KWK1. His name is Ken. Lewis says, I'm looking for the 85, or it's 85. Nope. Don't do that, Lewis. It's an 85 millimeter lens. End of story. Not before or after crop. The lens is that lens. It's got the compression that you want. Now, if you put it on a crop, it's going to move it to about like 120, 130 millimeters in effective focal length, okay? But it's still an 85 millimeter lens, okay? So it's a trick question. Can you tell me why I'm telling you that? Because you can't buy a 16 millimeter and go like it's 25 millimeters on a crop sensor. No, it's 16 millimeters. And the compression sucks. It's going to make the people look not nice. So that's why I'm telling you this stuff to you. I hope it makes it into your brain. Okay. So Lewis is saying, you're sweet, Peter. I bet you say that to all the boys. Thank you, Lewis. You know I love you, buddy. Oh, I just need the lens and the R. I don't need... The R is a camera. The R, EOS R, is a camera. What part did I not explain well? So Jeff is going, Lewis, I use the 70-200 USM F version 2, 2.8. As you can zoom from 200 out to 70, it's a great lens that gives beautiful bokeh backgrounds, blurs. I also use the 50 millimeter 1.8, which is a cheapy weepy. Okay. I think that lens is all of $100, $120 to buy it, never mind rent it. But you got to make sure it lifts. It fits. So Jerry is saying, besides the lens, I have a Canon R6. Guess what we're looking at, Jerry? And my Fuji and a ZV-1 Sony. What do I need to go live? I have a yellow box, but would Ecamm be better? Well, a yellow box is something where you're going to, I want to make sure I don't walk on slide, where you push the buttons, okay? So that's what it's handled. But you still need software, unless the yellow box can take you live, which I don't know, okay? You will need software. You either need to get OBS. Charles Richard likes OBS and he's willing to help people with it. Or I use Ecamm. So the link for Ecamm is in the description. I think my link is an affiliate link. So that means if you use it, I get a couple of bucks. You know, not quite enough for a Wendy's hamburger, but yeah. So my suggestion is Ecamm. Oh, by the way, Ecamm is only Apple. You can't work it on Windows, so I don't know what you got. So, plus you could start and stop Ecamm. I don't know how often. So you could start and stop Ecamm, for whatever the trial is, and you could pay it by the month. You guys just help me buy it by the year, which is cheaper, and it's $384 for the year for the 4K version. Okay, you can get a lesser version at a cheaper price. So if you don't want to go live 4K and only 1080, but you want it to be able to record into your computer. So your Canon R6, all you guys have been watching for the last 30 minutes, or except when I switched, is the Canon R6. I can run this whole entire channel with the Canon R6, and every 20 seconds or so, it's changing the view. I'm changing the focal length. So the point is to put a happy focal length. So this is the widest focal length. So I could do like 4 or 5 different focal lengths. So let me run through that so you can kind of see what it looks like. Okay, so this is one focal length. So we're not going to wait for it to change. I want to show you. So that's one focal length. Same camera, different focal length, and just moved over. Okay, same lens, same camera. Okay, different focal length again. By the way, this is the full zoom of the 85mm. All right, and now we got a close-up shot. So, and then I got one more. Okay, which is like a medium shot. So now I just let them, for me, I just let them cycle through. For you, you'd have to click on it, okay, until you learn how to do that. So that's basically the R6 is what you need, Jerry. But you have the other ones. They just make you look more sophisticated, which is excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. What time is it? It's either 11:46 or 11:48. It's right next to the softbox, so I can't see it too well. Charles is giving you a hand on the Viltrox 75. Does not cover the whole 40 megapixel sensor. I would go for the Fuji XF 80mm macro. It is as good as the 90mm. Okay, now hold on. Just hold on. So on the XT5, the Viltrox 75mm does not cover the sensor. How can that be a truth? You're going to need to explain that to me. Because right now, I really don't believe that. Nothing against you personally, but why would they make a lens for the XT5 and it doesn't cover the sensor? We're not talking about, you know, medium format. So check it out, Charles, so we don't give Jerry the wrong information. Was it Jerry that was going to do that? Okay, so Mark says, Peter, my Mac Mini M2, it's great. Oh, it flies. That's excellent. Yeah, you got something really good. So Lewis says, yep, my favorite street photographer, Joe Greer, uses the 28 and 90mm on his Leica M6. So the M6 is, I believe, a crop camera, and that's what we got. So Charles, he's thanking you. Make sure you got the right information, Charles, please. That's all. You can look that up, Jerry, on B&H. You can look up the Viltrox if you're interested in that lens, because it doesn't sound like it's quite right. So Jerry and Charles are talking. Lewis is talking. He's regurgitating what I just said. Ken said, oh, I've had the oregano before. Good for you. Vitamins and minerals make me nauseous. I've had all the vaccines and just got the new drug. Oh, so you got the Paxlovid. Okay, we'll see how that does. Thanks for the advice and the prayers. I'd like to know how that does too. Paxlovid is one of the first actual medications instead of that vaccine. Okay, to come if you catch that. So I'd like to hear more about that. So Jeff says, Peter, if I understand, and the 85 on a crop body is still 85, but the field of view changes. Is that correct? Yes. So the field of view changes. So here's how it goes. So I'm going to take the opposite to my side and then tell you why I'm so adamant about it. Okay. So if I put an 85mm lens on my camera, and I have a full frame lens camera, and I put an 85mm that's cropped, what just happened? It's much closer. So I actually have to take my body and move my feet to get the same field of view that the 85 will give you on a full frame camera. So that has bled, okay, or it has morphed into an 85 is the same as on this camera. It's not. It's an 85. But you're going to readjust your field of view. You're going to adjust what's in the frame. and that is going to make it different. Okay, so if you take that same 85 on the full frame, you'd have to walk closer to your subject to capture the same thing that the crop sensor will do. So this moving the body forward and back, okay, has morphed into this lens. A 50 is like an 85. No, it's not. It's a 50. And a 50 1.2 or 1.8 remains that at all times. That part is usually not that important. What becomes important is when you got into the conversation that we did. I want to shoot portraits. Now, you can make your portraits look more professional or look amateur by using the wrong lens. I didn't say you can't do it. I'm saying there's some general rules, so before you break the rules, know what the rules are. Okay? So Lewis says, Peter, that means I should get a full frame to maximize the lens and the sensor size. No, it doesn't mean that at all. You're trying to make a steak out of a hamburger. You start with a camera and there's a correct way to use it. Doesn't mean you need another camera. So if you hand me a camera, there's a correct way to use that camera. That's all that means. Okay? Now, after you've learned the correct way, not you only, this is more generic, I'm not picking on you, Lewis. Okay? I would say, all right, take some of your preferences into account. So, Randy's saying 13 minutes to slide. Okay, I need to keep an eye on that. All right, tell me when she and she goes up on the pre-show. Okay, because I want to go over to her where, you know, she probably will come up 5 minutes or 10 minutes in advance and saying that at 10 o'clock it's going to go on. So if you're awake, Randy, let me know. Okay, so Lewis, you want to look at the quality that the picture is going to give you. That's the most important thing. If you can get the quality, so like one of the best buys right now, it's not even out, is the R8. So it would be like the R6 Mark II with less stuff. And you save $1,000. So if you want the more stuff, then you get the R6 Mark II, because that's a very good camera to purchase. Okay? But if let's say the 2500 is going to make you choke, but 1500 won't, then the R8, it's got a smaller battery, it's got one card slot instead of two card slots. The card slot is on the bottom where the battery is instead of on the side. It still does 4K 60. It still does no recording limits. So that R8 is sitting in the sweet spot dollar-wise right now for a lot of people. And it's a full frame. Okay? So you could take any full frame and turn it into a crop camera. There's a setting in the menu. Just turn it into a crop camera on. Okay, so now you've got the R8, you've got a full frame camera and a crop camera. They're not out, you can't buy it, you can't rent it, but it's probably one of the best bangs for the buck. Okay? So Randy says 13 minutes to slide. Okay, I'll keep an eye on that. If I was buying a camera today, R6 II, that'd be a great choice. Great choice. And if you can't afford it, the R8 is like a baby R6 Mark II. It does the good stuff. Charles says, okay, what does Charles say? Okay, Charles, you're deflecting. I want to know if the Viltrix 75mm is going to handle the X-T5, yes or no. I don't want to hear about 40 megapixels. I need an answer because the man owns an X-T5. Okay? So don't tell me about the megapixels. Will it work? And if you say no, then I will almost believe you. Okay? Okay, so Lewis says he learned a lot today. They can't cover the whole sensor. Fujifilm has a list of Fujifilm lenses that will work well with the new 40 megapixel sensor. So how about we start here? You keep going 40 megapixels. Is the X-T5 a 40 megapixel sensor? Is that what you mean when you say that? I just need to know the answer to that. How many megapixels is in the X-T5? Either Charles answer it or somebody else answer it. That is my question. The Fuji X-T5 camera, how many megapixels is in that camera? And it very well could be a 40 megapixel camera. Fine, then Charles is right. Okay. So Randy says, gotcha. Ken says, sure, you have to take Paxlovid within 5 days of the symptoms. You have to take it twice a day for 5 days. We'll let you know how you're doing. So, yeah. Okay, Lewis. So you do have something to shoot for. The R8 would be a great camera for you. It doesn't have image stabilization. So where does that fall on your list of 1 to 10? Is it like an 8, 7? Then that's fine. If you go like, I just got to have image stabilization. The R8 does not have it. Okay. So, and here, Ken is saying the same thing. The R8 does not have in-body stabilization. So, Sly is talking to Lewis. Make sure you go over and watch Sly in 3 minutes. Okay. Put the link here, Randy, if you're still awake, for Sly's live. Okay. Because I want to bring the people that are here right over to Sly. Okay. So, Daniel, how you doing, Daniel? I love you. Thanks for coming in. Just got the Panasonic S5 II, and it's excellent. I know. That's all I heard. The major thing that I heard is something that I believe is not true, but I'm going to find out when I get one. And the other thing is true, but for me, it's not a deal breaker, but for others, it might be. So, Dan, it's that the focus system is not so good. Now, according to Shane, who has one, he says you've got to set the focus system up properly, because if you don't activate something that by default is not on, and I'm not quite sure what that is. It might be the body cam part, or where it identifies bodies and stuff. If that's not on, then it's not going to focus as well. But you turn it on and it focuses like a champ. Okay? So that's why I said I don't think there's a negative focus. I think it's user error for those people that are not getting the focus that they should have. Okay? Sly, did you put up your pre-show? So what was the part? Oh, 4K 60p is a 1.5 crop mode. Okay, so let's see. So Dan had a follow-up. Panasonic 35 1.8 is excellent. That's true. I would probably buy the Panasonic 16 to 35 f4 and the Sigma 50mm 1.4. Okay, it's only 1 minute. Let's go over and take a look. I don't see no, she's not live. Sly, you going live? Let's go over here. Let's go to YouTube. Let's go to subscriptions. Let's find Sly. Yeah, scheduled for 12 at 12 o'clock. It's there. Okay, so let me put that up. And let's go over here and let me turn that on for you. So I'm going to say good night, guys. Thank you for everybody that came in. Sly is where you want to go. Okay. And when I hear her coming on, there she is. So she is saying hello. I'm going to gracefully bow out and go over to her channel. And when I get there, I will say hi. So just remember, everybody that's in my room, I love you. Thank you for being here. I pray for you every single day. Good night. Bye. Bye-bye. Go over to Sly. Okay, Randy just put the link for Sly. Okay, so if you're going to go to Sly, go there now. Click on that link or copy and paste. Okay, and we are now broadcasting Sly. Good night. Bye-bye.